So, November, 17th of November 2023. And this is a client, a very good client. And here we had the installation of a quite extensive irrigation system. There was an extant irrigation manual operated system with several lines and taps, including lawn sprinklers, lines running to all the borders and various planting boxes. Some were connected, some still needed connecting. And what needed to be done was to install an automatic irrigation system that connected to all the existing lines so that there could still be a manual operation, and the automatic system that could be run, and if any problems occurred, then the manual system could override it all, which is great. So we put a nice cactus bed in here, an example of the manual system that was in place. Here we've got the taps for the manual system, and just beyond here, buried, we've got where the lines for the automatic system come in after the taps. So you can turn on and off the manual system here that will activate the pump, and even with those taps closed, the automatic system running off automatic valves can do its job. And to make things interesting, there was a pond here, a water tank, that we decided to use as the reservoir for the automatic system. It was originally running off a different tank that was all manually operated. There was no float switch or anything. Here we can see more of the areas that were irrigated manually, and we've got manual taps, as we can see here, and we've even got little features with funny little statues that was the tinkler system that we saw in an earlier video. So, vegetable garden, orchard, all of this running off separate lines. So putting in the lines for the automatic system, this was the original reservoir, manually operated. So we've got lines in and out for him, and where we've put in automatic lines, we put 14 zones in total. This is all control systems for what we have here. 14 zones, all of which had to be connected to the existing zones. So there's about, I don't know, close to 500 metres of additional lines put in to make things interesting. It was a very big job, still not finished really, tidying up. So here we've got a line that there's a slave that we can connect stuff to. Here we see the typical, as was, where there was manual system here, and then where we've put in the lines for the automatic. Again, we've got 4 lines here that will have to be dug in and buried. Very extensive job. Anyway, so now when we have the system running, what we wanted to do was to have an interesting feature, a float switch in the reservoir now activates the borehole. Here we can see that's the pump for the automatic system, which we installed. Again, more lines going in, connecting that to the tank. This is the control box. So we've got 14 lines. Oh, it's quite well hidden. Coming in. That's the Hunter control for the automatic system. There's all the valves. Putting all the valves in where the control box is, because you could have had them all remotely installed all over the place, but then having them all here together in one place makes it easy to maintain, and if there's any faulty valves and what have you that need replacing. So that's just the Hunter with its nice little box, filter, and more lines. These are 2 irrigation lines going to irrigate higher up. This is the supply from the borehole. Right, so the supply from the borehole now goes to the reservoir tank, which, when the level drops, there's a float switch, which is located here. And to make things interesting, to make form and function together, when the reservoir runs low, it activates the borehole, which now runs here, a water feature, which was a nice solution, because now it's the centrepiece of the garden, really. Put a little stream in here with a waterproof membrane. Put a waterproof. We pulled all this out here, right back to the superstructure, and put a waterproof membrane in behind all of this, like you would in a swimming pool. A little bit like what we're doing here. You've got the waterproof slurry, and then a gauze to reinforce it all, a little bit like if you was doing fiberglass. That stops it cracking and moving. I'm putting all this in here again because we'll have irrigation up here on top, and the water will be channeled along to here, so it doesn't interfere and make the wall crack. And the wall was in very bad condition. This is the same thing here, sort of like with its approaching its final coats of paint. All this is irrigated, and all the water then channels along and out, gone, instead of soaking into the masonry and destroying the rendering. And there it will run the waterfall until the water reservoir is filled, and the float switch automatically turns it off. So when the irrigation system's on, it's not always on. This time of year it's quite rainy, so we don't really need it all the time. But in the summer this is on 24/7. It comes on in the morning and in the evening, and the waterfall will refill the reservoir 2 or 3, 4, 5 times, depending on how much the irrigation system's set to run. In the evening, which is lovely, as it's going dark, a light comes on that's running off a timer switch. All this lights up, and the client gets treated to the animated water feature. Lovely. Yeah, it worked really well. First time installing anything like this, but actually very easy, very intuitive, and the computer very easy to set to regulate how many litres of water each zone will receive. You've got 14 zones here, and of course, given the power of the pump, you can't have them all running at the same time. You have to time it so that depending on the amount of outlets each zone has, you can run 1 or 2 at the same time. And so the whole sequence of 14 zones takes a good hour or 2. Again, depending on how long you're running each zone for. in the evening or in the morning when you've got the irrigation timed to run, and the whole system seems to run quite well. We've had issues with this water running down the waterfall and here through compost. The resultant organic detritus and growth of algae and what have you that occurs in the tank has created issues with filtration. We've got an initial filter on the scavenge here which was blocking up all the time, and we put an online filter in between the pump and the valves, which again kept blocking up all the time, and finding the right filter that could do the job without blockages which constrict the water flow. Because of constricted water flow, removing the filters, we ended up with detritus getting stuck in the valves, so the valves aren't sealing perfectly. So that's an issue, something for future reference, but not really that problematic. The little bit of water that leaks out is only going to irrigate a zone anyway, so you can calibrate the timer to compensate for when that happens. So the waterfall now, it's running for a couple of minutes and the water reservoir is almost filled. Nice little stream here, very pretty. Now the plants have started to establish themselves, and now the algae growth and moss has started to discolour the rocks uniformly. You've got the discoloration here on the stones. Now that the rendering's all been finished properly and painted and made nice and clean, you get this wonderful contrast between the organic natural part and the contrived well, you know, civilized cement and paint. Right, now the switch should turn the waterfall borehole supply off any moment now, as the water reaches the last of the blue tiles at the top here, and it will all of a sudden start to diminish. I'll say 3, 2, 1. There you go, eh? Right on time. That's cool, isn't it? Yeah, 14 zone hunter irrigation system with waterfall. Lovely. Hey, who said being a gardener was boring? Hope you enjoyed that. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ramakrishna. Hari Rama. Beautiful.